I'm Sarah Purcell. Welcome to our first show. Joan Rivers. Like her or not, and I do, what's happened to Joan in the past 2 years, you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Every time we see her on the news, it's a new tragedy. Fired from her own talk show on the Fox network after months of struggle, the suicide death of her husband and partner, Edgar Rosenberg, that left Joan and her daughter, Melissa, alone and in shock. A suit against Gentleman's Quarterly over a hurtful article Joan said defamed her dead husband's memory. Joan Rivers is now living in New York, and her life is jammed with activities. Why is she pushing herself so hard? Is it to hide the hurt of the past year? Joan's appearing on Broadway in Neil Simon's hit play Broadway Bound.
My grandfather had to pick her up to see the Statue of Liberty.
That must have been some day.
What they dreamed of all their lives, to get to America. They saw that statue, they started to cry. The women were wailing, the men were shaking. Everybody was praying. You know why?
Because they were free.
Because they took one look at that statue and they said, that is not a Jewish woman. We are going to have problems again.
Not only does Joan do Broadway, she's also the center square in the long-running game show Hollywood Squares.
From the center of it all, Joan Rivers!
Joan, according to Psychology Today, is gossip actually good for you?
It's kept me in business for 25 years.
Joan has always been a busy woman, but especially these days. Let me give you an example. Her day starts out at Kenneth's salon, where she braces for the marathon ahead. Then to her hotel for our interview. That's followed by a rehearsal of her comedy workshop at Michael's Pub. Then it's off to the Broadhurst Theater for that night's performance. After the show, Joan signs autographs for her fans. Most people would be exhausted by now. Not Joan. It's back to Michael's Pub for a midnight performance.
I mean, if you're going to be gay, be gay. If you're going to be straight, be straight. If you're going to be bisexual, wear a sign. I am...
Why? Why do you need to do this?
Well, I love my work. I mean, to me, it's a joy. It's not something you say, oh, I have to go do it. The real reason I did both Broadway Bound and Michael's Pub is because nobody has done that since the 30s, where you can be in a Broadway show and do something very dramatic, very serious, and then an hour later flip over and do something very light and comedic. And my husband always used to say, let's go back to New York one day and do that and show them you can do everything. Or not everything, but show them you can do a lot.
Aren't you asking a lot of your fans or people, new people to Joan Rivers to see you doing a stand-up bit as well as see you do a serious part on Broadway?
I don't know if I'm asking a lot, but I think if you can do more than one thing, hey, I've had a lot of people leave me already. My husband, a lot of friends are dying before they should die because of AIDS. Other friends are dying naturally at this age. And you reach a point where you just say, if I want to do all this, I'm just going to do all this.
Even before Edgar passed away, you and he had such a tight unit. And the two of you almost created, in a sense, a wall or a fortress around you. Why was that?
He was terribly protective of me, which was wonderful. When you're married, you know, when you are married for a while, certain things just get delegated to each other. I mean, you don't even say, well, you'll take care of the mail and I'll take care of the garbage. I mean, you just get to do your own little things. And he protected me in many, many ways I wasn't aware of. And it was wonderful. He left me to be totally creative and silly and happy. And the shock really came this year when I was alone to find out all the things he had done that I now have to be responsible for.
But even beyond that, it seems to me it was an emotional fortress as well.
Oh, of course. I had someone that was in my corner, totally in my corner. Someone that could tell me the truth, which is very important, can say no. Someone that you can talk to about things over and over and over again because you're both interested in them, the same thing. And someone that absolutely thought I was terrific. No holds barred. Absolutely. I was terrific.
And yet you once said that he never told you you were beautiful.
Never. Never told me those kind of things. But really thought I was okay. And which is nice after living with someone for 23 years, you know.
Let's talk a little bit about the horrendous year. The horrendous year. Could you have had any indication that any of this would have ever happened to you?
No. I was on top of the world, you know. No, I had no idea this would happen.
What started to happen?
Fox panicked. My ratings, which now turns out, I was fired for bad ratings. They got scared to death. I was the first show on. I don't know what they expected with their network, the station they had.
Before they fired you, they fired Edgar.
They fired the producer, they fired the executive producer, and they just fired. And then they fired me. And then they put on their ideas, and their ideas, check your ratings. You know, their ideas didn't work. So they just panicked. And that, unfortunately, put Edgar, who was not well from his heart attack, into a terrible depression, which then led to the suicide. It was just unbelievable. I mean, it was like bang, 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 bang.
What was it like when Edgar passed away? Did your friends rally around you? Was the world on your side?
Oh, initially, of course, and all your good friends are there, and then it was very interesting because you become a single woman, and a single woman is not the same as a married woman. A lot of couples no longer want you around because you're a threat, which makes me laugh at this age, you know. It was just very funny. So at dinner parties, they don't know quite what to do with you. Or they'll invite you. I had several friends that were men, single and straight, that suddenly got very nervous as if I was going to grab one of them, and you want to go, ah, pew, pew, no way. That was very strange. I found that a lot of my tokes were taken away from me, if that's the word. Restaurants would be put in not quite as good a section. It was fascinating, just very interesting. Whole new set of rules to play by. And very hard. The first time you drive yourself to a party, first time you drive yourself home from a party, first time you get online and check your coat yourself. Well, little milestones, you say, okay, time to get my own coat back from the coat check.
Did you ever ask yourself, what have I done to deserve this?
No, I said to myself, I've had really, and it's not a poly, I've had 23 great years getting all the at once, and I've just got to take it. And you have two choices, I've said before. You can go and disappear and never surface again. Or you can just say, no, 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 no. I've got too much I still want to do. It's been very rough, and terrible fits of depression and anger and everything. But you just go on.
It sounds so easy, though, but you've got to put one foot in front of the other.
Every morning you've got to wake up and say, I have no career, no husband. What do I do?
What do you do?
You say, well, I've got to find a new career. Hello, Broadway. And I got to find a new husband. Who do you know?
But you're not going to do that.
No, but you have to go for the joke.
But you had enough money and enough security
Oh.
to rest and to say,
And
okay.
do what? And do what? And get bitter? And walk around? Oh, no, 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 no. I want to be out there with a boy toy dancing somewhere.
A boy toy.
Boy toy. A gob. I want to find a sailor. Gob.
It's just the career has just been so much a part of your life.
Yeah.
To the point where it seemed almost all-consuming.
Well, after Edgar's suicide, I went to an analyst for the first time ever. And he said, your career is your second child. And so you're really mourning two things. He said, you're mourning the death of your husband, and at the same time, you're mourning the death of your older child, because Melissa really came after the career was there. He said, you've had 2 deaths this year. And I said, oh, that's very smart. So, yes, my career is not all-consuming, but my career certainly is. I love my work. I love my work. The tragedy was not being able to do my work, not being allowed to do what I do. Terrible.
You must have been pretty angry at Edgar, too.
Oh, of course. Well, I work now very hard for suicide prevention and suicide survivors. And there's terrible anger. Terrible anger. Edgar was very, very ill, and he got sick the last week before he killed himself in Dublin in a hospital, and that just, he didn't want to be ill and sick, and he did it for us, for Melissa and for me, he thought. But, there's too many unanswered questions. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
He recorded a tape for you.
Yeah.
Have you listened to
No.
it?
No, I've read the transcript. The police, in their own inimitable way, listened to the tape and transcribed it. But that's all part of the police, to make sure that this person wasn't killed, that they killed themselves. So they gave me the transcript, and I read the transcript. I can't listen to the tape there. Don't want to listen, because he had that wonderful English voice, and I'm not ready for that yet.
What about Melissa?
The best.
You wanted so much for her. How do you feel about what she's had to go through?
Well, again, you don't wish, as a parent, all you want is good times for your children. But she had a lot of good times, and she has a lot of good times. She'll have many more good times. She had difficult blows, and she had a very hard year, but she's come through it wonderfully. I'm very proud of her marks. She went right back to school in the city that Edgar killed himself in, which was a killer thing to do. And her marks stayed up there, and she just dealt with it. And I'm so proud of her. She's going to graduate this year. And when she comes out in that cap and gown, I mean, she's just achieved so much. She's a wonderful, wonderful girl.
How is she similar or dissimilar from you?
Well, she's dissimilar, that she's very, very pretty. She got the best of both. Isn't that wonderful? You know, Edgar's thighs, my legs. I mean, she got, like, all the good stuff. She's got my humor, but she's got his intelligence. So she really, 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 she's very sensitive. I just love her. I just think she's great.
Your career has not come easy for you.
No, but I don't say that with sadness. Hey, I've had a long run. I'm still there. I have a great daughter. I walk on the street, and a garbage man will say, "I love you, Joni." And you go, "I've touched this person's life." That's all right. I have no regrets.